few days ago, I got an email from YouTube, and while I usually just scan them and then ignore them, this one really caught my attention because it had all my stats in it from 2023. And the big number that I saw was that my little channel that you are now watching had 1 million views in 2023. And then it said you've got 19,000 extra subscribers and 50,000 likes. And that really stopped me in my tracks, because in the end, I'm a woman sitting in a shed at the bottom of the garden talking about watercolour. And it made me think that you might want to see some of the behind the scenes figures on YouTube, because I think they're quite surprising. And in particular, you might be interested to know what I'm actually earning from those million views and those extra 19,000 subscribers. My name's Liz Chatterton. I'm a watercolour artist, and every week I share tips and tricks about watercolour. To explain what's going on YouTube, I better just give you a quick background of how long I've been on YouTube. I actually joined in 2010, but that was just to watch films, and probably about once a year I put on a little clip of an exhibition or something like that. Really didn't do anything much because I was busy doing other things. In fact, if I look here, the first film went on 2013, and then I did about one, not even every year, until 2019. Well, obviously, come 2020, something happened. Yes. Well, during lockdown, my weekly class that I used to run just couldn't operate. And I wanted to stay in touch with my students and give them something to help them get through the pandemic. So I started making little how-to videos, and I put them on YouTube as a way of sharing with my class. And then something strange happened. Rather than the 15 to 20 students that used to come along every week to the village hall, I spotted that maybe a couple of hundred of people were watching these films. And I have to say, they were pretty dreadful films. I put background music on them that people hated, and I was learning how to edit on iMovie. So, they weren't brilliant, but needs must. We kept in contact and it kept us sane. So I noticed these extra people watching, and I started to get a few more subscribers, and that really was a surprise. But as the year went on, I thought, oh, I wonder if I could do more of this. I watched a ton of videos because, hey, it was lockdown and I didn't have anything else to do. So about how to grow your channel, how to set up your channel, how to get monetized, etc. Fast forward to New Year's, and I set myself the challenge of doing one film a week for the entire year and getting myself monetized. And if you don't know what I mean by that, is YouTube pays creators for the number of people who watch adverts on YouTube, and you get a proportion of money that those advertisers pay. To be able to be monetized, you need to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours over any year period. And that's quite a big ask, because I probably had 400 subscribers by the end of 2020. And at that point, I'd been on YouTube for 10 years. So I set myself that challenge, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to upload far more regularly than I had been doing. And I decided I would do a short film every week, all about watercolour tips and things that I wish I'd known about ages ago when I started painting. I found it quite easy to get new subscribers, but getting those watch hours was a real struggle, because if you're only making 5-minute films, a lot of people have to watch a lot of 5 minutes in their totality to actually add up to that 4,000. So it wasn't till July 2022 that I got monetized and I got my first paycheck. YouTube only pays out after you've earned at least £60. So even though I got monetized in June, I didn't start earning until July, and then I didn't make enough in July. So I didn't actually get paid until September for a little bit of July and August, but it felt like a fortune. This is what the YouTube dashboard looks like, and there are so many stats. I have to say I rarely look at more than how many subscribers I've got. That's 34,167 at the moment. Thank you. How my latest video's doing, which is over at the left, and then what estimated revenue I get for the month, and that is currently just over £400. There are so many more stats that you can look at, but you could spend your life looking at stats and not actually doing things. But let me take you a few steps further. Let's dig a little deeper into the stats, and it shows that this month there have been 72,000 views for a total of 6,300 hours, over 1,000 new subscribers, and I have earned estimated over £400 this month. You get 55% of any ad revenue that you bring in, and YouTube keeps the rest. What's interesting is that you can see which have been your most popular films this month. And for example, it's quite an old film, but this urban sketching one's been the most popular. Well, you could use that information and think, oh, I better do some more of those because everyone likes them. You can go even further and really start to drill down. So we can look at content in more detail. We can look at where people come from. United States, UK, Canada, Australia, probably no surprise there. You can even look at which cities people come from, but I don't think that's at all useful. And in fact, a lot of this just isn't useful. It tells me that you're likely to be female and you're likely to be older. Well, I could go out and think, oh, let's make special films for people who live in London who are, 58 and female. Or I could just make films that I like and hope that other people find interesting. So let's look at a typical film. And we'll just choose one of the most recent ones, which is, say, this review of Rosa watercolours. So if we click on that, it takes us in and shows us information. And it shows us this film, since it was launched a couple of weeks ago, has had 2.4 thousand views, a couple of hundred hours. It's brought in 7 new subscribers and has earned me the princely sum of £16.34, which isn't very much. Let's look at a more popular one, which is this urban sketching one. Now, since that was published, look, almost 120,000 people have watched it for over 9,000 hours, and it's brought in 3,000 new subscribers and earned me almost £600 just from that one film. Interesting thing is, halfway through, well, not even halfway through, after 4 or 5 months, there was suddenly a jump in viewership. And that's the great thing about YouTube films. They carry on forever, and suddenly they can take off if you're lucky. Nothing illustrates this better than my giant Easter egg film, which I did as a bit of silliness again during lockdown. Since it's been launched, which is almost 3 years ago, it's been seen 28,000 times. It's brought in 148 subscribers and earned me £120. But look at those little peaks. Basically, every Easter, it gets a whole load more views, and that will carry on for years to come. So I've got a couple of hundred films now on my YouTube channel, and the £2, £3, £4, £5 that each of those is earning adds up to make my monthly total. Some do really well, some do really badly, but together they add up to make that total. And that means that I'm earning about £400 this month. And of course, all the months add up to make a year. And it shows that over the course of the year, I've earned 5,800 from YouTube. And you will look back in March, I had a tremendous peak. God, I was excited. One of my films, which was about painting on a tissue paper background, didn't quite go viral, but it certainly went ballistic. And I had an absolutely brilliant month. I thought it would last forever, and it didn't. So if I look in my AdSense account, it just shows what I've been paid this year. And you can see that on average, it's about £400, apart from that amazing month that was £1,000. You will hear other YouTubers talking about things like CPM rates and RPM rates. So CPM is cost per mil, meaning how much it costs for an advertiser to reach 1,000 people, mil being 1,000, and RPM being revenue per mil, how much you get paid of delivering 1,000 views. I think it's all pretty irrelevant because I can't do anything to change that. Those costs and how much advertisers have to pay varies from country to country and what sort of niche you're in. So if you're in tech niche talking about, I don't know, cameras and microphones and computers and things, you'll get more money. If you're in an art niche, you get less. Equally well, if you're in America, you get paid more. And if you're in India, you get paid less. It's about the revenue that is for your area. So the figures I've shown you are for me as an art content creator in the UK. If you're somewhere else, you will get paid different amounts. Let's have a quick chat about shorts. These are, I can't believe they're not TikTok, just the short little videos that people are making. I don't do many of them, and if I show you, you'll understand why. So my most popular one has had a couple of thousand views, and you think, oh yeah, well that seems very fair, and it has earned me the princely sum of £1.42. It's just not worth my time doing them. You get a little percentage of a pot that YouTube has put to one side for all short creators. So is that amount a surprise? Is it more than you expected or less than you expected? That money is after 18 months of being monetized. Unless I come up with a cunning and devious plan to get more people clicking through and watching my films, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. It'll gradually rise just as I get more films on there. So I hope you found that really eye-opening, because I think there is this idea that people are making hundreds of thousands, if not millions, from YouTube, and there are some like Mr. Beast who are. I have a terrible confession, I've never watched any of these YouTube channels, but Mr. Beast apparently made $54 million from YouTube, and if you go down the list, there's a couple of kids who are making $20 million, so they're not going to have to pay for their college fund, are they? But what I'm earning from YouTube is nice, for goodness sakes, I'm not decrying it, but it's not enough for me to retire on, or indeed give up, I don't know, selling artwork through galleries. And I wouldn't want to, because I rather like the fact that one moment I'm painting, next I'm teaching, next I'm making a YouTube film. That brings me joy, and I love the variety. So is it worth it? You know, if you are thinking of starting a YouTube channel, should you? Will you make any money? And one of those, that's one of those, how long is a piece of string? It's lots of fun. People do find me on YouTube, and then they go and buy online workshops with me because they like the way I paint or the way I teach. So it does work with other elements of what I do. It is a lot of work. Even a 10-minute film will take at least 2 or 3 hours to produce, because you've got to come up with the idea, you've actually got to film the whole thing, and then it's the editing that just takes forever. If I knew what I knew now, would I start a YouTube channel? And the answer is absolutely yes, and I'd have started it way before the pandemic. As always with these things, the best time to start something is probably 5 years ago rather than yesterday. So I'd love to know what you think. Am I earning more than you thought I would be from YouTube? Is that how you thought it worked? And what would you like to see on this channel in 2024? How can I get towards my goal of 50,000 subscribers? Let me know in the comments. And as always, I read everything and I try and answer everyone's comments.